listening to Real Coaching Radio TV, building a positive network.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world. Most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org. Are you in the entertainment industry? If you answered yes and you want to promote yourself, your passion, and profession, check out Creative Independent Artist magazines at CIAartists.com. Endorsed by Kids Talk Foundation worldwide. You can hear shows from Real Coaching Radio TV network while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is a free news and talk mobile app available for your smartphones, smart TVs, and cars. And when you download Stitcher to hear shows from Real Coaching Radio TV network, you have a chance to win some money. Downloading is quick and easy. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. Download it. It's free and just takes a few seconds. Then, during registration, hit the promo code box and enter RCRN to get automatically entered to win $100. The latest episode of the shows will be waiting for you in your favorites. You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too, always available to you on demand. No syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio. Don't forget to enter promo code RCRN when you register at www.stitcher.com/RCRN.
Diana Todd Banks brings integrative health and lifestyle issues to a whole new level. She helps to steer public awareness into a healthier, more proactive direction. Rather than only relying on traditional approaches, Diana will empower you to incorporate new cutting-edge information and tools into your life. It's not a coincidence that you're already here. Stay tuned in. Here is your host, Diana Todd Banks.
Well, I'm filling in for Diana Todd Banks today. This is Coach Steve Toth, the founder of Real Coaching Radio and TV Network, and I have the privilege to interview her again the second time around. And Diana, you look fantastic.
Well, thank you, Steve. Thank you. Yes, I feel pretty dynamic.
And look at your background. You've got all of these things that you've recently achieved. All your achievements are behind you.
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, it was quite remarkable. Pardon?
What we got behind you there?
What we have behind me are statues, actually. They're classified as statues, which I was awarded when I was in Hollywood recently at the Best-Selling Authors Conference and Gala Ceremony, where I have the privilege to meet Jack Canfield and be up alongside of him and chat with him. Particularly, it was important for me because I was a co-author, or am a co-author in a book with him, The Success Secret. What was particularly spine-chilling and remarkable for me was the fact that what I wrote about in that book was probably the turning point in my life, where 15 years ago I couldn't walk or speak. And I set about really focusing on wanting to overcome that and achieve a goal and a dream, not only to overcome that, but to be able to work in a field where I'm helping others, which I'm doing now. So that's what's great about it.
Absolutely fantastic. And what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about your experience. You actually, when you were in Hollywood, after you were finished there, you got on an airplane and went to Arizona, and you did a brain balance therapy that took you an entire week. And I'm very excited to find out about your experience, beginning with what attracted you to do a brain balance therapy.
Well, actually, it goes back from when I interviewed Lee Gerdes. Something just resonated in me that it was like the final little piece of a monster puzzle started to come into my vision, I suppose, thinking, golly, this may well be something that changes a lot of people's lives in a lot of different ways. I want to find out what it's like for myself before I take it any further. And when I was invited to go there and experience it myself, I'd made sure that opportunity occurred, because it just resonated in me that it was right. It was absolutely right to do, not only for myself, but also to learn about it and maybe be able to promote it and help others experience the same. And I honestly have to say, it is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life, without a doubt. And I've experienced a lot of different modalities.
Great. And where did you feel this resonance?
When I was going through the experience, or when I first started to feel there was something there for me?
When you first felt that there is that you had to pay attention, and there is something huge there for you. Where did you feel it?
I physically felt it in my solar plexus, my stomach, and upwards. And I actually felt as though I had hot air coming all around me when I was speaking with Lee. It was quite a spine-chilling moment, actually. And having had a couple of extra conversations with him later, I felt the same thing. And when I started to read about the information, it twigged even more, and I thought, this is something that I'm definitely going to follow. It was a very physical experience for me.
Yeah, so you got to Arizona. Was this in Phoenix?
It was in Scottsdale.
In Scottsdale, okay. So describe to us, what did their office look like, and what did you do when you first walked in?
When I first walked in, I was greeted by some very friendly faces, that's for certain, because they were obviously expecting me, and I believe I'm no different from other people. They welcome new clients there every day, constantly. But to look at it, the office and the presence, to me, it actually looked like not a great deal of difference in terms of a somewhat corporate look, but, and there wasn't a great deal to see, because it was, the office goes off in different tangents and in two different sections. The office and the corporate structure is kept separate from the actual clinical side where the technologists work, because they have to have quiet over that side, and they can't be in the corporate environment. So when I was welcomed, then I was taken around to the technology area, I suppose, the clinical area, and filled out and completed some forms, and then waited to be taken into a room, and I had no idea what I would expect.
And what were you feeling throughout all this?
I actually felt very happy. I felt as though I was on an exciting adventure, and it actually felt as though I was on an adventure on clouds. I felt like I was floating on clouds. Wow.
So there was, energetically, you experienced something. What I'm hearing is that it's not something that you experience normally every day.
No.
Correct?
That's
so it was
correct.
Very special.
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Okay, got it. And then after you filled out the paperwork, what did they do with you next?
You go into this room and you sit in a chair, which I'll describe in a minute, and the room is very simple. There's a computer and a monitor that's separate from the computer. Then there's a screen on a wall in front of a chair that you sit in, and then there are various what looked like earphones, but they weren't earphones. They were sensors that, as I found out later, that stick onto the head. But the first thing that actually really grabbed me was this chair I sat in. And I thought, this is a very interesting chair. This is a different chair from usual, different from a dentist's chair, different from, say, some therapeutic chairs or massage chairs or recliners. And the technologist said to me, well, what position would you like to sit in? And I had no idea. I just said, well, I'm fine upright, thank you. No, you can't be upright. You need to get into another position. So they moved me into different positions going backwards to the point where they gave me the experience and option of sitting in the chair with my feet a little bit higher than my head. And I asked them, well, what's this chair? And they said it's a zero gravity chair. Well, what's special about that? So I've been on a search of zero gravity chairs for myself. I'm absolutely fascinated with them because they relieve tension on the spine, on the heart, they improve circulation, they improve oxygen flow, and all kinds of things, benefits to the body. Above all, of course, relaxation. And as I experienced the chair in follow-up sessions, that is absolutely the first thing that you experience when you sit in this chair. This intense relaxation if you choose to have your feet reasonably high. Apparently some people go quite a way back. I chose not to. I did have my feet about at that angle, and it was so wonderful. Golly, and you just experience a sense of weightlessness. And it's the same sense of weightlessness that NASA astronauts experience. They have to be in that position when they take off from the Earth, when the spaceship takes off, or whatever it is they're in at the time. And so there are a tremendous number of benefits. And as I've subsequently explored, there's a whole range of chairs that you can get for outside use and round a pool, in a living room, all over the place, even in the offices.
Yeah. There are some cars that come with zero gravity seats now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, goodness. That provides some interesting talk at a later date.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so while this is going on, what's going on
While this is going on and you're getting settled, and you have to have your arms at your sides, not clasped, the technologist begins to get these sensors and they start to do an assessment of your brain, both the left side and the right side. And they move the sensors around the brain, or one side, one at a time. And you sit in that position and they ask you to listen to a different sounds or look at a couple of different images, of abstract images on the screen in front of you, or simply to close your eyes. It depends on what they ask you. It'll vary. And you do that for about an hour and 3/4 for both sides of the brain. Then they go off.
What's going on inside of Diana?
What's going on inside of Diana is relaxing. And relaxing and just closing my eyes. You close your eyes in some cases. Other cases you have them open. Close your eyes, just relax. Imagine, in my case, I was floating on a cloud someplace. Just whatever manner or of image you chose at the time to just relax. And the point being, they wanted to see what was going on in your brain.
Yeah.
And then at the end of
were you able to quiet your mind, or did you notice the usual conversation that goes on?
I was able to quieten it, and having done a lot of meditation, I'm very aware that when you start meditating, the mind is extremely busy and you're thinking about dinner and lunch and what you're going to do for the rest of the day, and that gradually recedes and goes away into a point of nothingness. And that's when it's intensely relaxing. But that first session finishes, and then they take the sensors off, reposition the sensors in a different way, doing all of the measurement, rather, for that assessment of all of the different lobes of the brain. And then at the end of that hour and 3/4, that's when they go off and tabulate it. You have a break, go have some lunch, and then come back for another 2 sessions in the day. And you don't know quite what. Beg your pardon?
Doing the same thing?
Well, not the same. They assess your brain and see what they print it out. They give you or show you this printout of the left side of your brain and the right side of your brain and the activity. And one side, and mine was over this way and over that way and up and down, and apparently everyone's pretty much is. And it turned out later that mine really was all over the place. And so they see the positions in the brain, the lobes of the brain, where there have perhaps been some traumas of some kind. And what I found quite remarkable was I was asked, did I hit myself on the head in the last 2 years? I couldn't think of a thing. But they were able to detect that I knocked my head in quite a profound way. And it wasn't until later in that day that I actually did remember I hit my head on the cupboard point very badly. That showed up in the assessment. So they then proceed over the week to begin to balance and harmonize the brain. And harmonizing is really bringing both sides of the brain more back into balance with each other. Instead of each side going off at different tangents, they, by the end of the week, will go up pretty much in parallel, up and down together. And that actually did happen to mine, which is quite remarkable. But each session, subsequent session, you have 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, for the 5 days. And at the end of the week, you have another assessment after the final intensive program. So it's a matter of what you look at in the different sessions. It'll be up to the technologist to say close your eyes or keep your eyes open, look at this monitor, there are a lot of colors, just focus on what's going on in that, or don't, just close your eyes. You look and listen to different sounds and you choose the kind of sounds that you want, whether it's a forest sound, a seaside sound, or bird sound, or other options. It's very personal choice and it's up to you. And you waft off into these different dreamland states for really 3 hours every day of the week. It's a serious luxury. It's wonderful.
So did you have any expectations before you started this program?
I left myself completely open. Completely open. I didn't do a lot of reading other than what I had been aware of when I interviewed Lee. I didn't want to influence my mind in any way of what expectations I could have. I just wanted to keep myself completely open to whatever transpired. And I was just going to let myself flow with that.
And what was your why? Why did you do it?
Why did I do it? Well, the why didn't emerge until the answer to my why didn't emerge till the end. But I wanted to quieten my mind even more. I felt like really one side of my brain was like a pea pod that was being, or no, a can of peas that was being shaken up and down all of the time. It felt so busy. I could physically feel that side of my brain, really consciously feel that. The left side didn't feel that way. And in the assessment, it didn't actually show up to be the same frenzied activity as the right side. So over the period of days, that certainly did calm down. And one was, why did I do it? One was to have a greater sense of calm, to sleep better, and to be even more centered than perhaps what I am, because I know we all can improve ourselves in just many, many different ways. And I believe I achieved that. I know my osteopath believes I've achieved that.
Mm. Okay, so after you went through this program for several days, it ended on a Friday, right?
Yes.
The same week. And what was that last day like? Like how it was different than the rest of them?
It was different because each day I experienced different sensations, actual physical sensations. And the Friday...
Can you describe some of them?
Yes, I certainly can. One was quite profound, and in fact it occurred for the first two nights. Later in the day, after the sessions finished and I left there, probably within an hour and a half of leaving there, which was about 5 o'clock, by 6:30 I was ready for bed. And I was told that I would be experiencing a lot of tiredness, and to ensure that I ate a lot more protein and consume much more omega-3. But the strange thing, and at first it bothered me, I started feeling like little headaches popping up all over me, all over my head. Minuscule, momentary headaches that quickly disappeared. As fast as they popped up, they'd disappear, and they'd pop up somewhere else, as though it was a little gremlin up there going, doink, oops, I'm finally out. Oh, another one, let me out. And then and that kept going for a few hours. And I started to think, oh, golly, what's happening to me? But I fortunately had the opportunity to speak with Lee next day, and he explained to me what was happening, and it happened again on that Tuesday night. And his explanation was quite extraordinary. He said it's little pockets of dead blood vessels that are suddenly coming almost to life again. They've been stimulated and moving out into your brain. They're beginning to flow better and not be so stagnant.
Wow.
And I found that quite extraordinary, because these really were quite distinct, and it was whoops, 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 like that, all over. Not so that it was really fast, but quite profound enough for me to physically experience it and also be aware of it, and the same the next day. But once he explained that to me, I thought, isn't this wonderful? Oh, I'm getting new life, yes! And so that was quite a revelation to me, and I felt a lot more alive, far more alert as the days moved by. And since I left there, certainly that's become more obvious. Going back to the day I finished there, I almost felt like, oh, I don't want to leave here. I'd like to stay here a bit longer. This feels nice and comfortable.
Move in.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Oh, give me more, give me more. I'll have this every week, thank you. But anyway.
So what did you learn on Friday that was
what I learned
profound?
Was looking at the assessment of my brain as the before and the after. It's remarkable. I don't know what other word to use, except it's quite spooky that all this activity is going on in your head, and you're essentially not aware of it, and that your brain activity can be changed in such a soft, gentle manner, not invasive, not threatening, in a very comfortable manner, with very caring people around you, very caring technologists, and that a person really has an opportunity to begin again in some respects. Because you come away with a greater sense of clarity, maybe issues that before you started these issues might have been hugely mammoth ones that you couldn't work your way through very clearly, but afterwards you can start seeing them a lot more easily, and you don't need outside help. Clearly you do not have any alcohol during that time, and in my case I cut out carbohydrates too. I didn't want anything unnecessary in my body. So, and you don't have any energy modality worked on you. You don't do any chiropractic or osteopath or EFT or Reiki. You don't do anything. Bowen, none of that. No massage, nothing. Because they do not want to interrupt what has been going on very intensely for that week. And so you go away and think, oh, I feel like some new gates have been opened for me, new doors. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what will come forth in my life. And I really used that time in a very philosophical way to think, gosh, this is an exciting new pathway and journey.
Okay, so what are the differences? What did you notice? This has been how long now since you've been back from Arizona? A couple months?
Since Arizona. Yes.
Couple months. All right, so there's quite a bit of time that has passed. What have you noticed for yourself that you haven't noticed before?
Well, one thing that I couldn't see is I've had a lot of people say to me, you are so calm. You are so much more calm. You're not as intense. Mm-hmm. The osteopath I go to said to me he could tell it in my eyes. My eyes were profoundly different. One woman said to me, when you were away, did you have a facelift? And I said, no, because apparently lines just dropped away from my face, which at least that's what they felt when they're looking at me closely. And so the sleep certainly continues to be the same way, but the calmness and the more centeredness. But the other thing is that I'm aware of other people. Gosh, I don't want to sound superior when I say this, but I'm aware of empty conversations. Can I say that without being negative? Shallow conversations, or conversations that cause...
You can just say your truth.
Yeah,
how's that?
They're just kind of going nowhere and rehashing gossip, which I can't. It's not productive. It's not.
And what do you do now? Like, what did you do before this therapy? You didn't even notice before that there was empty conversation. Is that accurate?
Yes, I wasn't. Occasionally, conversations would tire me out and I'd leave, but even more so now, I'm acutely aware of my surroundings, and this is particularly so with one particular place. I go to a yacht club frequently, and I see similar people as I've seen before, and I think, gosh, no, I think it's time I broaden my horizons it's and some
get a bigger yacht.
Yeah, well, I'm sure viewers know this, that if you have an exploratory mind into spiritual things and positive nature, there are times when you can't really go on conversations in those directions. You can drop very positive comments occasionally, but sometimes people just like to revert back to what they were going on about. So, which is fine, but I want to move and mix in very stimulating company, and it's not always easy to seek and find. But if
so
you can't find,
are you saying? Let me see if I can read between the lines.
Okay.
I have this innate ability to do that. So, are you saying that now, because you're more focused and more clear, that you have a much easier and faster time that you can connect to yourself, like who you really are,
yes,
spiritually and otherwise?
Yeah.
And so would you say that now you have this ability to be in the present moment more than ever before?
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah, and when you are in that state, and when you are with other people that are not able to connect with you, that has become amplified for you.
Yes, well said.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
You said that you said that very delicately, Steve. Thank you.
And what do you do now when you notice that you are not able to connect with somebody?
If I'm with somebody one-on-one and we've gone out together, well, then that's one situation. But if I'm in a group of people where there's a certain amount of flexibility to move around, I'll move on. And quite often what I do, and I love doing this, I'll walk up to strangers I don't know within this environment that everyone's a member. I'll walk up to strangers who may be new members and start up a conversation with them, because I find that quite stimulating, and it's good for them if they're on their own. I really enjoy doing that. I love going into a room of people where I don't know anyone and just going up and having a chat to a person who has a particular attraction for me.
And what would that be?
I don't know. I can't say until I see them.
You open this.
I did, didn't I?
I didn't do it. Okay.
I don't know. It varies, Steve. It varies.
Okay, got it.
I just love talking to people.
Okay. Yeah, but you love to do that before too. You just become much more sensitive. Would you say?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
More astute. Yeah.
Sorry.
More sensitive.
Oh my God.
More alert. More open. Yes.
Okay, great. So, actually, I'm noticing it myself that in the past, before you did this, I noticed you quite a few times when you showed up for me as a deer in the headlight.
Look, please, sir, would you explain that?
And you, well,
a four-legged deer.
I didn't think that there was anything to explain. I thought that what I said would make complete sense.
I just had to qualify. Yep, right. Four legs.
And you're not doing that anymore.
No.
And you're not attracting the technical problems either that I think you used to attract to yourself. And I think that comes from who you're being. You're being calm, and you being very centered and grounded, and things just work. Amazing.
Wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you see this modality to be different? What makes it different from anything else that you experienced before?
I can't say I have not experienced biofeedback or neurofeedback, but I've experienced just about every other modality that exists. I've really explored a lot over the years. I do know there's a huge difference between neurofeedback and biofeedback, massive difference, and almost to the point they can't be compared with brainwave optimization, because there are so many different brainwave patterns that the brain state have. But this has had a profound effect on me mentally. I really feel as though my feet are, and they're quite large, are grounded a lot more. Well, grounded quite significantly so, where before, if I experience, or when I experience various modalities, either Reiki or anything that have a very relaxing nature, they did not last for very long. And they did not have the profound effect that this has had. It's spherical in its effect on me. And I feel that very strongly, whereas the others to me have been a modality, and in fact I even did several levels of Reiki. You'd experience a certain level of it, but not the totality that I've experienced with brainwave.
So would you say the others might be perceived as quick fixes?
They all have
temporary quick fixes?
I think that's probably a harsh decision to say. It depends on a person's or comment. Depends on the level of a person's issues, really. Some modalities can repair, fix, soothe, calm a lot of different problems or issues with an individual. But if they want a far deeper, more profound, long-lasting, if they want an impact on their life, I would say from what I've experienced, this is without a doubt the best, most encompassing.
Yeah, so this reminds me, now that you said what you said, about how do you maintain this modality? Like, what's the maintenance?
There's not a great deal of maintenance, which is quite interesting. When you finish the intense program, you are given a CD of certain sounds that you can use for 3 weeks following. You listen to them and you get into a relaxed position and you sit for as long as you like or lie for as long as you like, listening to these sounds, trying to quieten your mind. And then after a period of time, you don't need to use it anymore. However, if a person tends to get a little bit rattled or find some stresses of just beginning to affect them a little bit, then they can to replay the CD and just take some quiet time and listen to it, and it certainly kicks in. Once you've done it, the brain, as I understand it, does not ping pong back like a big piece of elastic to the way it was. Your brain, unless of course you get a ding on the head or some serious emotional trauma, a car accident or some other physical trauma to the body, you don't need it. People who have quite profound afflictions in what they call the MCI, mild cognitive impairment, or other issues of quite a strong nature, they do need some additional sessions, but that's entirely up to the individual and what their responses have been. But in my case, I take a couple of times in a day to just consciously be calm. I do a form of meditation as well as just listen to this CD if I feel like it, whatever I feel like at the time. But I am quite serious about getting one of these zero gravity chairs because I need to get a new chair anyway, so I might as well get one of those. So relaxing the body is probably, consciously doing that is probably the biggest issue that we all need to address every day, not just a few times a week, not just going to a masseur once a week, but consciously take the time to relax so that your heart can get a little bit of a rejuvenation, and in the case of a chair like this, have your feet up a bit higher and do a lot of other things for your body. I feel very odd if I don't do a relaxation session. A bit like people who do a lot of sport, who consciously do perhaps too much activity or athletics or running, they get to the point you get addicted to it with the running, but this you wouldn't. So everyone finds their own level of what they do.
So how do you see this technology to make a difference in people's lives on a larger scale?
On a larger scale, from my perspective, I'm planning on doing a lot of promotion and creating some awareness in the media to assist people or make people or enable people to be more aware of it, and at the same time help the company to get practitioners, primarily first get the practitioners, create the public awareness, and then get the public needing the practitioners to perform the modality. There's certainly a lot in different countries that can be done. I know in Australia has a massive drinking problem, particularly with young children or young teenagers. There's a serious problem with binge drinking, and I know that there have been some studies found that excessive drinking later in life can lead to early dementia, early onset dementia. There have been some definite studies done on that. But one big area that this really does help is insomnia. And there's a lot of corporations that are losing massive number of hours due to the lack of productivity of people who are stressed and haven't slept properly the night before. And by doing this, getting this even into the world of the corporations, so that this actually could become a part of corporate health and well-being, would be a wonderful goal to strive for. Mm. So many people would benefit.
Yeah. Last time when I was on Lee's website, I think I read there that more than 50,000 people have had this type of therapy done. Yes. The brain balancing, and that's quite a few people. So, and I know he's expanding all over the world as well. Whom are some of the practitioners that are in existing businesses already that you feel this would be a natural extension to get into?
A natural extension is certainly anyone who, say, a psychologist, a physiotherapist, a natropath. Naturopaths are great because quite often they've done learned other treatments and modalities to complement their profession. Anyone in the health field, a masseur, Reiki, anyone in the complementary world, in the complementary field, as well medical and holistic doctors, the combination of the two, if they have a practice where there are different practitioners, osteopaths, naturopaths, acupuncturists, this would fit magnificently into an existing practice like that. And I know that there are different learning modules for people who are complementary and medical practitioners, and different learning for the complementary, just the straight complementary practitioners. From my perspective, from what I've seen, it would add an incredible benefit to your practice. Life coaches can be, certainly can do this, study it. And I know that I've read in many cases that coaches who are now coaches who have experienced brainwave optimization themselves are no longer taking clients who do not first go through this brainwave optimization, because it's almost as though you work with a client to get them on a new path to getting over their fears and handling their fears and looking at their goals and doing visualization and relaxation. But they're always going to be coming up with little hiccups and hurdles. They're never going to flow as smoothly as they could had they experienced this first themselves. I can absolutely see the merit in that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just trying to connect the dots myself. So, for example, I mean, we know alcoholics, just as one example. You mentioned it already earlier. They'll go into some kind of a modality, a 12-step program, whatever, and they say they're never going to drink again. But the next thing you know is that a month or two later, they back drinking again.
That's right.
So, I can certainly see the value, specifically for life coaches that you were talking about, where it doesn't make sense to take on a client and having them work on their future and their goals if they haven't healed themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's like you're swimming up the river.
Yes, you are. I would actually not so much say healed themselves, but harmonize the brain, balanced and harmonize the brain, so that. Here's an analogy.
But that's healing yourself. It's the trauma.
Yeah,
I mean, what everybody's dealing with is their trauma and what they made up about it. Yes. That's what most everybody's dealing with.
Yeah, they are. And people have a tendency to misjudge the term trauma. And I certainly I committed that one. Trauma is not just a huge bang on the head or a big bash at football or rugby or a major car accident. Trauma can be emotional abuse. It can be any kind of
sexual abuse, whatever.
All of that. And that has a huge impact on the brain. And if there's been say, from childhood, a person who's had continual traumas over their life, it's going to be very hard for them to get back onto an even keel and to move forward. It's like you build a house. You can't build a house without that solid slab first, that solid foundation. And really, having done this now, I can see that this brainwave optimization gives a person that solid foundation from which to actually jet propel yourself forward. I believe it can fast track your future.
It makes sense to me, because people create their own, what I used to say or still say, they all own worldview about how things are. And that has usually nothing to do with reality. It has to do with the traumas they experienced, and they still experiencing it as reality, and it's not. It happened a long time ago, but we made a story of it, and we're still living in that story. So I certainly see the value in, if you can get a therapy like this for a week and have your brain balanced, where those traumas are no longer running you, then you can do anything.
Yes, definitely. In fact, I would encourage anyone who is watching the program or listening on Stitcher, if they would like to contact me and have a talk to me about it, just to, express a little bit further, any questions they have. I'm not really at this point working for the company, but I'm happy to talk with you about it, and I'm happy to just contact me on my website, dianatoddbanks.com, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you.
Okay, that's fair and square.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's one thing to read information, but it's another to be able to take a conversation further, I think.
Yeah, I certainly believe that information, there's lots of people out there, Diana, that are in the stage where they live on information. They want to get as much information, and they're looking for shiny objects.
I know.
I know, because I used to be one of those. And the solution, to our questions and to our issues, are always right around the corner.
Yes.
Some new thing that somebody just introduced us to, or something we found on the internet, or whatever, or a book, or a video, or a movie, whatever. But I just got to the point where I really found this is an inside job, and it's just my truth, that I found the answers to everything that I was looking for within my own self. The answers were not out there for me. So
and that's a very valid point, Steve, because there's so much available on the net that people can spend most of their time searching,
their entire life,
looking outward.
Hey, their entire life.
Go back in here.
And that mind is a sponge. It loves that stuff.
Yeah.
Give me more data. So I can be even more imbalanced. Give me some more stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it's just. I mean, I'm able to, most of the day, which I certainly couldn't do years ago. I can go through the entire day with a quiet mind, which is, to me, it's not to say that good one, Steve. It's just the 30 years of work I've done. It finally got me here, which is, I just tune into myself and who I'm with in the moment. All we have is the right now. The past is gone. The future hasn't happened yet. All we have is right now.
Yeah.
And the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. And I learn to love myself. All of me, even the part of me that isn't perfect, is perfect in its imperfection. So, I love it all. And I don't need to look for anything out there in the world to fill a hole. There is no hole.
There's so much out there at the moment that tends to make people feel less than adequate. They're constantly seeking outside information. They do not realize the power of their own mind. and the
Yeah,
wisdom
absolutely.
that they've actually accumulated over the years.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another thing that I'm feeling about this is that, and how I'm connecting the dots again is, you don't have to go through, because now this technology is available, what I have gone through to get to where I am. People can actually speed up the process. You don't need to live the next 5, 10, 15 years going to therapy or doing whatever you're going to do, testing all the different modalities to get to where I am today. You can do what you did and just get on with life.
Yes. To me, this deals with the core. This deals with the core, and it enables you to strengthen, blossom, and just grow quite tremendously. But Steve, there's one thing I just want to go back to, and that is that what we were talking about with alcoholism. I just want to make sure one point, that I clarify one point. People who have been alcoholics for many years, people who have been on drugs for many, many years, and perhaps who come off both of those and stay off for some time, they can still certainly get a lot of benefit, but they'd have to be off any of those toxins for quite some time before they could benefit from this in the extreme level that perhaps a lot of people are able to do, such as I have. But it's beneficial for everyone, there's no question.
Yeah, awesome.
And grow forward.
You had a beautiful experience, and I think we did a great job, giving the viewers in 1 hour what you did and what you went through in 1 week.
Great.
And more.
Yes.
Because now we touched on many things, how your life is transforming. So definitely this is a transformational experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it certainly is, and I think that it's beneficial for people to go into it with as open mind as you possibly can, and allow the new technology to work. It is so relaxing. It is not the least bit invasive. You don't have to fill out copious questionnaires of what you did 50 years ago or 20 years ago. Certainly there are some forms that you fill out which are easy yes/no answers, but and you're not interrogated like some modalities tend to try and do and take you back to childhood and analyze every trauma throughout your life. That doesn't happen. It accepts you the way you are, and okay, here we go.
That would be Gestalt. I've been there, done that. Okay, so you've been absolutely awesome, fantastic. You look beautiful. Have a wonderful rest of the day in Australia, and I'm gonna go have a little soup and turn in.
Oh, good. You do that, and I'll go and cool down because we are sweltering here now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
Diana,
you very
for
much, Steve, and everyone go to my website.
Yes, which is?
DianaToddBanks.com.
Thank you, Diana. Everybody have a great evening. And if you're in Australia, I know where you're going. You're going to the beach.
That's right.
See you.
Okay. Until
Bye
next
for
time.
now.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Until next time. Thank you. Have a good one.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programs, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world. Most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org.
You're listening to Real Coaching Radio TV, building a positive network.